Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new episode of the Beauty Bites. And yeah, so I'm going to be answering a question that one of you asked me. So let's just dive into it. So the person said, "Hi Ife, I feel so bad about something. Please, can you help me out with that? I did a makeup on a client and I used the MAC mineralized powder to set the makeup, and after that the makeup didn't come out so nice. It didn't come out well. I don't know what is wrong because the MAC powder is an expensive powder. I don't understand why this happened or why it didn't come out well." Okay guys, so the reason why I decided to bring this beauty bite is because I can actually relate to this question. So I did my makeup today with the MAC mineralized powder. This is the MAC powder, finishing powder that she's talking about, that she have used this powder to set her makeup in the past. And like after doing her makeup, the issue is setting the creamy products with this powder is wrong. We're not supposed to do that. This powder is not a setting powder. This is a finishing powder. So you are supposed to know, I always say this, right? It's written at the back. This is a skin finish. Like, this is a finishing powder, not a setting powder. There are setting powders. There are different types of powder. You don't just go to the market as a makeup artist and just go and buy a powder, like just buy powder. There are setting powders, in as much as like we do say that powder is powder, but when you use a finishing powder and go and set your makeup, it's not going to come out nice. In as much as it's still powder, that I've still use it and do whatever, but you're going to realize that that makeup is not going to come out nice. Like the MAC finishing powder is not a setting powder. I always say that. Like I didn't know that before when I first got it, and I tried to use it to set the under eyes. It's not going to come out well. This powder is a very expensive powder, but it's not going to come out nice. It will not set your makeup. This is not meant to set the makeup. This powder is not even expensive. This is a drugstore product. It sets the makeup. It will set your under eyes. You don't use this powder for setting the under eyes. What you use MAC powder to do is when you are done with everything you have to do on the face, you can just use makeup and just fix. And it's just a finishing powder that you can just use and retouch on your face. But the funny thing is that it's actually very, very nice. It's a very nice powder. And again, another way you can use this powder again is probably when you have set the under eyes with a certain powder, you can use the MAC powder and just touch on top of it. Yeah, it can actually work that way. But you don't use it direct under the eyes where you have concealers. You don't use MAC powder direct under the eyes. Any finishing powder, you don't use them direct under the eyes. Just like, do you know what you're doing? Just like we want to use a finishing spray when you are still doing your makeup. That is what this powder is. It's a finishing powder, not a setting powder. You can use a setting spray when you are still doing your makeup at the process, even before you begin to do your makeup. But you cannot use a finishing spray when you are still doing this. That is how a finishing powder is. You cannot use a finishing powder when you are still doing your makeup, right? You're supposed to use a finishing powder when you are done doing your makeup. I don't know if it's actually clear, but if you are buying a powder, it's better that you read the description of the powder, because one that is a finishing powder, but this one I'm very sure of it. I cannot come and start saying this is a finishing powder or this is not a finishing powder. You have to know and read the description of the powders you are buying, know what the powder is and what the powder contains, so that you don't go and buy a finishing powder in place of a certain powder. I don't know if it makes sense. Mostly these drugstore powders, they are all certain powders. So when you see all these compacts, they are good. They set the under eye. You can use them to set the under eyes and they're going to be nice. They're going to come out good. The dark mineralized skin finish is not a certain powder, is a finishing powder. Please do not use it directly under your eyes. You can actually use it under the eyes white, but before you use it under the eyes, make sure that you have already set that under eyes with a certain powder first before you put this on. You can top it, you can use it to coat on top of it. By that time you would have done your setting. You will now use it and coat it, because where I use this powder mostly is when I'm done with the makeup and I probably want to now retouch everything I've done on the face. When you use this powder, it's going to give you a good coverage and it's going to melt your makeup and it's going to like bring everything together, and it's going to carry you along. I don't know if it makes sense. So please and please, I'm going to say this and say this all the time. I'm going to say it and say it again. Please do not use this powder to set your under eyes. It's not going to come out nice. before you buy any powder, make sure you check the description of that powder and be sure, except you are going for a finishing powder, you know that this is what you are going for. Know that that is what you want to buy. Do not go and buy a finishing powder in place of a certain powder. That might actually be the mistake you are making. It might be causing you a lot of harms without you knowing that, and you wouldn't know. Okay guys, so I hope I've been able to probably just clear the air about this setting powder and finishing powder stuff. Please, the person that have these issues, please make sure that stop using the powder. It's a very good powder. It's not fake. It's not his original powder. Is especially provided you know where you bought it, actually is a good powder. But I think the issue is that you use it to set your under eyes without using a certain powder first. That is why it didn't come out. In fact, it's going to be pulling out the product under your eyes. Before you use it, make sure you have used a certain powder before you use it, and it's going to be nice. This is a good powder. Like, I carry them like, I see this powder. This is how I carry it, like egg, because it's powder that I cannot do without. Yeah, I cannot do without it on my face. I love it so much because it's a very nice powder, very, very good powder. Yeah. So guys, I hope I've been able to educate you guys. I hope I've been able to convince you, not to confuse you, that this is a good powder and it's not fake. You didn't buy a fake one. So please make sure that you're able to use it correctly, and you're going to thank me for it. See you guys next Friday. I love you guys, and I'm going to see you next Friday. Bye.